Hey there, so as some of you may know, I am trying to hit 4,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Right now we are about 70 subscribers away from hitting our goal. And here's the crazy thing, 89% of you people who watch these videos aren't even subscribed to the channel. So if you're a part of that 89% and enjoy what you see, please consider subscribing and turning the post notifications on. I hope you enjoy the video. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another college advice video where I, as an experienced college student, give you advice on how to succeed in college, even though most of the advice that I actually give in these videos I don't actually use myself. Now in today's video, I wanted to talk to you about procrastination and time management. Now procrastination and managing your time is something that we all deal with. Whether you're in middle school, high school, or even an adult in the workplace, pretty much everybody deals with procrastination. Well, I guess unless you're like a 4-year-old and you don't really have any worries or responsibilities in the world, and the only thing you're concerned about is what color crayon you're going to use on your next coloring sheet. But I'm going to come to the safe assumption that none of you are 4 years old. You hear that, YouTube? These videos aren't intended for children. Please don't demonetize me. But procrastination isn't really something that I really struggled with until I got to college. Mainly my sophomore year now. But yeah, currently I procrastinate on a lot of things. It could be procrastinating on doing my laundry, it could be procrastinating on cleaning my room, or even getting an assignment done. The fact of the matter is that I'm a mess and wait till the last minute to do literally everything. So in today's video, I decided I was going to give you some tips on how to combat procrastination. So before I give you my personal tips, I decided I would go on Instagram and ask you people what your advice would be to stop procrastinating. So the first piece of advice that I received was to cry and hope it goes away. I'm not really sure that's an effective strategy. Personally, I haven't done it before, so I don't really know. The next reply I received said, give up. Guys, I asked for actual advice. It wasn't a joke. I didn't imply that it was a joke. I asked for actual advice. The next piece of advice we have says, starve yourself. Okay, I'm gonna just take a walk. I'll be right back. I'm gonna just take a break. Okay, I'm back. I definitely didn't just have a mental breakdown in my bathroom. I'm okay. Okay, so this next piece of advice I received is actually good advice, and it says, throw together a playlist for motivation. And I personally really like this idea. As cheesy and corny as it may sound, it's actually a good idea. It's something that I personally do. I don't know about you, but whenever I'm not really feeling motivated to get work done, I listen to motivational music. Personally, I have a motivational playlist of my own. It's literally just Eye of the Tiger for an hour and 13 minutes. He also says, time yourself for 15 minutes just doing work, and then take a 5-minute break. Repeat till the work is done. I think oftentimes where I struggle when it comes to getting work done is the longevity of an assignment. Sometimes these assignments can take like 3 to 4 hours to complete. And sometimes I'll start an assignment, and then after like 10 minutes I'll get bored, and then I'll go on my phone, and then I'll check my Instagram DMs to see if a girl DM'd me. Most of the time, girls don't DM me, I just like checking anyway. But then before you know it, I spend an hour on my phone and I'm not getting any work done. But I will say, this strategy of doing work, then taking a break and repeating that cycle is a good strategy. But what you have to do is that you're not taking longer breaks than you're supposed to. If you set a 5-minute break for yourself, you should only be taking 5 minutes. Because the moment you go over that 5-minute threshold, then you're gonna be like, oh, okay, I'm gonna just have another 5 minutes, and then it's gonna turn to another 5 minutes. You get thrown out of the loop once you take a really long break. And I guess adding on to this advice is that when you are doing schoolwork, I think it's important to turn off your phone and turn off the internet on your computer, limit all distractions. And I get it, it can be tempting sometimes to check that Tinder notification. Not that I get any Tinder notifications, no one matches with me on Tinder, but it is very tempting. So by shutting off all your devices, you're limiting that distraction. So the next strategy I have may or may not work for you. I really don't know. What this strategy is that when you want to get schoolwork done, is to go to another building, whether it be a library or the student center, just another building. For me, when I do my work, I like to go to the information commons. I literally spend all of my time there. If you go to my school, you've probably seen me in there. And the reason why I go to the information commons is for a variety of reasons. The first reason is because it's considerably far from my dorm. And it's also very cold in Chicago. So whenever I make that long, cold walk to the information commons, I'm not gonna wanna go back immediately because then I don't wanna walk through the cold again. And once I'm there, I'm less motivated to go back to my room because I'm in this work environment far away from my dorm. And I also put myself in a public environment. And I don't know about you, but for me, I find it embarrassing when I'm watching YouTube or doing something that's not related to school when I'm in like a study environment. So by putting yourself in a public environment, you're gonna motivate yourself more to get work done, or at least I do. I don't know, maybe I'm crazy and this only works for me, I don't know. And I will say I don't recommend doing schoolwork in your dorm room. It's just not a good idea. Every time I try to get schoolwork done in here, I immediately want to take a nap, because I don't know if you people know this, but my desk is right next to my bed. So whenever I'm working at my desk, I look over to my bed and I'm like, wow, I really want to take a nap. And sometimes I'll say to myself, okay, I'm gonna take a 30-minute nap in my bed and then I'm gonna get all this schoolwork done. It's gonna be great. And that may sound like a good idea because 30 minutes isn't that long, perfectly good break time. But sometimes I'll oversleep and 30 minutes will turn into 3 hours. And then once I'm done napping, I'll wake up in a pile of sweat and disappointment. So if you need caffeine to keep you awake and to keep you going, you should drink caffeine. I think it goes without saying, don't abuse it. Like, don't heavily rely on caffeine. Caffeine withdrawals kind of suck. I personally experienced them before where like I drank a lot of caffeine and then I just stopped drinking it and then I got these like really bad headaches. It really sucks. The next strategy I would recommend is to plan ahead of time, which I understand is much easier said than done. If you know you have a paper that's due next Monday, maybe the week before you should start working on that paper. This may sound obvious, but marking a calendar with due dates is actually a really good way to manage your time. I remember I had a teacher in middle school who kept telling me to do this, and I was like, yeah, okay, but I never actually did it. And now that I'm in college, I'm actually using her advice. So if you're watching this, I'm using your advice. Finally, it only took like 6 years. One way to start getting your work done is set a period of time each day to do that work. So you could be like, okay, paper is due in a week. I'm gonna do a paragraph each day. And before you know it, you'll have the paper done in plenty of time. But here's the thing, if you're doing something like that, you can't miss a day, because the moment you miss a day, then you're just out of the loop. So you need to stay on track. And I know there's some people who fall into the category of liking to do work at the last minute and trying to beat the buzzer. Trust me, I fall in this category sometimes too. I totally get it. You know, sometimes I'll say to myself, oh, I really want to get this paper done ahead of time, and then I try to, and then I'm just not motivated enough until the last possible second. And that may be true that like it's easier to be motivated if the paper's like due in a couple hours. Here's the thing I always say. Has there ever been a time where you're working up until the last possible second and you're actually happy and not stressed out? No, you're always really depressed and stressed when, oh, that rhymed. But you're always really stressed out when you're working up until the last minute. So whenever I keep pushing things, I keep thinking to myself, oh, well, what is this gonna be like the day before the paper is due? That's gonna be miserable. Because believe it or not, there have been times where I've written papers literally the day the paper is due, which I don't recommend, by the way. One morning, I literally woke up at 7 a.m. in my bed, took out my laptop, and wrote a paper. I also got some advice on Twitter to set deadlines for yourself, which is kind of what I was referencing earlier, but I think this is a good idea. Like, you should set deadlines for yourself that aren't necessarily the actual deadline. So you'll be like, okay, by Wednesday, I'll have at least 2 pages due. Even though that's not necessarily required by your professor, it's still a good idea to get you ahead of the game. Another strategy I recommend is going to bed early and waking up early and doing a lot of your work in the morning. I don't know about you, but whenever I get up early and get work done, it is like the most rewarding feeling in the world. But usually the reality of this is like I'll set my alarm for like 8 a.m. to get work done, and then I'll sleep through the alarm, and then it'll be like 12 o'clock, and I'll be like, oh, that kind of sucks. Of course, it helps to go to bed early, and it's hard when I go to bed at 1 a.m. every night to get up at 8 a.m. Believe it or not, it's actually hard to get up early if you go to bed late. I know it's a crazy concept. And I also asked a few people on Twitter what kind of advice they would give. And one piece of advice was to make a checklist. Now, I don't do this all the time. Honestly, I only really do checklists when like I have a ton of work over my head and I'm trying to manage everything. But I will say, checking off something off a checklist is probably one of the most rewarding feelings in the world. The last piece of advice I received on Twitter says, drop out. You know, that's actually not like the worst advice in the world, because if you drop out, then you don't have to worry about school and procrastination because you're not in school. So I might have to try that sometime. But that's all I pretty much have to say in today's video. If there was any advice that I missed, please leave down your advice in the comments down below. I'd love to hear what you have to say. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to leave a like on it, comment, and also subscribe to the channel to help me reach my goal of 4,000 subscribers. I'm sorry I've been gone recently. Once this semester ends in a couple weeks, I'll be much more consistent on the uploads. So you have that to look forward to, I guess. But thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will see you next time.
Mama told me one day I'ma grow up big and I'ma be a king. And my papa told me it's okay to sit where shit hurts. Don't forget your dreams, cause they'll get you through this. So-called